London, 1903. The room is packed. Scientists, journalists, the sharpest minds in the world, all crammed into a lecture hall, waiting for the future to arrive. Guglielmo Marconi, the most famous inventor on the planet, is about to prove something that nobody thought was possible. Wireless communication, no cables, no wires, just invisible signals flying through the air. And he's about to demonstrate it live. The machine starts up, the audience leans forward, and then the printer begins to move. But the words coming out, they're not Marconi's. Someone, somewhere hidden in that city, had hijacked the signal. And the message? It was mocking Marconi, by name, in front of the world's most respected scientists. The crowd went silent. This wasn't a glitch. This was an attack. And it happened 120 years before anyone ever heard the word cybersecurity. This is the story of the world's very first hacker. And trust me, you've never heard it told like this. Before this video is over, you'll find out how a toy serial whistle gave one man control over America's entire phone network, how two college dropouts used illegal hacking techniques to build the most valuable company in history, and how one bored graduate student accidentally broke the entire internet. Stick around, it gets wild. When most people hear the word hacker, they picture some guy in a hoodie, energy drink in hand, green code scrolling across a screen. Hollywood sold you that image. And it's wrong. Hacking isn't about computers. It never was. At its core, hacking is about one thing: curiosity. It's what happens when someone looks at a system everyone else trusts and asks a question nobody else dared to ask. What if it's not as secure as they think? That question has existed for centuries. In locks, in safes, in radio signals, in governments, and in 1903, it showed up in the most prestigious science demonstration in the world. His name was Nevil Maskelyne, and on paper, he had no business going up against Marconi. He wasn't a renowned scientist. He wasn't government funded. He was a magician. But Maskelyne had two things Marconi underestimated: technical skill and a grudge. See, Marconi had been publicly claiming that his wireless system was essentially unhackable, perfectly secure, impossible to intercept. Maskelyne didn't write a letter. He didn't debate him in the press. He decided to prove him wrong in front of everyone. Hidden nearby with his own transmitter, Maskelyne sent his own signal before Marconi's ever arrived, and the audience at the Royal Institution watched in stunned silence as a stream of insults and sarcastic jokes about Marconi printed out on the demonstration machine. Just like that, in seconds, the most celebrated communications technology of the century was exposed. And the lesson Maskelyne taught the world that day? No system is unbreakable. That lesson still applies today, every single day, inside the servers of your bank, your hospital, your phone. The names changed, the tools changed, the truth didn't. Flash forward 6 decades. Cambridge, Massachusetts, MIT. 1960s. It's 2 a.m. and a group of students are hunched over the university's mainframe computers. They're not stealing anything. They're not breaking any laws. They're just obsessed with finding shortcuts, with making machines do things nobody designed them to do. When someone found a clever, unexpected solution to a technical problem, something elegant, the group had a name for it. They called it a hack, not an insult, a compliment, the highest compliment you could give another programmer. Being a hacker meant you were the smartest person in the room. But here's where it gets interesting, and a little dark, because once the media got hold of that word, they twisted it into something else entirely. And the gap between what hackers actually were and what the public thought they were, that gap is still causing confusion today. Now here's the story that'll make your jaw drop. 1971. A young engineer named John Draper is hanging out with a blind kid who goes by the name Joy Bubbles. And Joy Bubbles shows him something incredible. A toy whistle, the kind that came inside a box of Captain Crunch cereal. That whistle, when you blew it, produced a tone at exactly 2,600 hertz. The exact same frequency that AT&T's long-distance telephone network used to signal that a line was ready for a new call. In other words, a 25-cent toy could hijack America's phone system. Draper, who quickly became known as Captain Crunch, figured out you could use that tone to make free long-distance calls, route calls through international lines, explore the entire phone network like it was a playground. The FBI eventually caught up with him. But before they did, 2 teenagers in California heard about what he was doing. They built their own version of the device, called a blue box, and started selling them door to door on the Stanford campus. Those 2 kids? Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak. The men who built Apple, the most valuable company in human history, learned the art of thinking differently. From a phone hacker with a cereal box whistle. Sometimes, history works in the strangest ways. It's November 2nd, 1988. A 23-year-old graduate student at Cornell is staring at his screen, fingers hovering over the keyboard. His name is Robert Tappan Morris. His father is one of the most respected computer scientists in the country. And Robert is about to make the biggest mistake of his life. He's built a program, what he calls a worm, designed to quietly travel across the early internet, counting how many computers are connected. An experiment. Harmless. Academic. Except he made one small coding error. And instead of quietly counting machines, the worm started replicating itself, endlessly, on every computer it touched. Within hours, thousands of computers across US universities, military networks, and research labs ground to a complete halt. Government officials panicked, universities physically disconnected from the network. Security experts worked through the night with no playbook, because there was no playbook. This had never happened before. The Morris worm became the first major cyber attack in history, and for the first time, the world realized that the internet wasn't just a tool, it was a vulnerability. Here's what I want you to sit with for a second. Every single one of these people, Maskelyne, Captain Crunch, the MIT Night Owls, even Morris, they weren't just troublemakers, they were explorers, people who looked at systems that everyone else accepted at face value, and asked, but what if there's another way? That question, that specific question, is why your iPhone exists. It's why online banking exists. It's why cybersecurity is now one of the most important and highest paying careers on the planet. The hackers didn't just break things. They showed us what needed to be fixed. And today, thousands of people called ethical hackers or white hat hackers are hired by banks, hospitals, and governments specifically to think like attackers, so they can defend against real ones. The name went from compliment to slur to career title. The tools changed, the computers changed, the stakes changed, but the mindset exactly the same as it was in 1903. One person, one question. What if everyone else is wrong? If you made it this far, thank you. Genuinely. This channel is dedicated to finding the stories behind the headlines, the real history of technology, power, and the people who quietly shaped the world we live in. So if you want the kind of content that makes you think, wait, why didn't I learn this in school? Hit subscribe. It's free and you can always change your mind. And if this video earned it, leave a like. It tells the algorithm this story is worth sharing. See you in the next one.